In this lesson, we will change decimals to percents. Looking at our graphic organizer for conversions, today we are going to change decimals to percents by following this side of the roadway, where to change a decimal to percent, we're going to multiply by 100 and add a percent symbol. To change a decimal to percent, we are going to multiply by 100 and add a percent symbol. This has the same effect as moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. In fact, moving your decimal point 2 places to the right is a shortcut to actually doing this math. So in our example, if I take 2/10 and I multiply it by 100, I get 002, and I need to move my decimal point in my product 1 place to the left, and I end up with 20%. Multiplying by 100 has the same effect as moving my decimal point 2 places to the right. This, therefore, is a shortcut to actually doing this math out. Okay, so now let's try some guided practice by converting these decimals to percents. So the first example, I'm going to convert 45 hundredths from a decimal to a percent. And for this one, I'm going to multiply 45 hundredths times 100 to show you the math behind the conversion. And I need to account in my product for 2 decimal places. So starting on the right, I'll move the decimal point 2 places to the left in my product. That makes 45 hundredths as a percent, 45%. I'm going to use this shortcut now for the remainder of the examples. For 7/10, if I move my decimal point 2 places to the right, I end up with this space right here, and I'm going to put a 0 as a placeholder. So this ends up being 70%. 7/10 becomes 70%. For 2 hundredths, I move my decimal point 2 places to the right, and this ends up being 2%. And for the last example, 1 5/10, if I move my decimal point 2 places to the right, and I add a 0 as a placeholder, this becomes 150%. Now I'd like you to pause the video and try these examples on your own. When you're ready, start the video again for the answers. To convert 72 hundredths to a percent, move your decimal point 2 places to the right, and it becomes 72%. To convert 5 hundredths to a percent, move your decimal point 2 places to the right, and it becomes 5%. You should pause the video now and try these problems on your own. When you're ready to come back and see the answers, turn the video back on. To turn 25 thousandths into a percent, you still are going to move your decimal point 2 places to the right, and your decimal point ends up here between the 2 and the 5. That's okay, because this is 2.5%. And remember, you only move the decimal point 2 places to the right to account for multiplying by 100, which has 2 zeros. You've seen this problem before, 1.5 or 1 5/10. Again, move your decimal point 2 places to the right and add a 0 as a placeholder, and this becomes 150%. You should pause the video now and try this one on your own. When you're ready to see the answer, start the video again. This decimal is 0.6 repeating, which could also be written as 0.6666, and it repeats 6 to infinity. To change this decimal to a percent, I'm still going to move my decimal point 2 places to the right. However, I need to account for the fact that this remainder is repeating. To do that, I'm going to write the 66 and put my decimal point and another 6, and I'm going to put my little vinculum, my repeating part, over the 6, and I'll add my percent sign. So this becomes 66.6 repeating percent. Another way you could write this is with the fractional part. I know that 0.6 repeating as a fraction is 2/3. So writing it with the fraction instead, my percent would be 66 and 2/3%. Both of those are correct. Both of those mean the same amount. They're just different ways to represent that repeating percent. This is the end of our lesson on converting decimals to percents.